everyone, my name is Roya and today I'm coming to you with the books that I read in the first half of July. This is a really random assortment of books, just FYI. There's a cat in my lap demanding pets. Days at the Torunka Cafe. This is a kind of an episodic book about some people who meet up at a cafe. There are three different stories that don't really have much to do with each other. I was really only invested in the first one. I don't know, they were just not stories that grabbed me, but I felt like the first one was told in a way that made me kind of go, what the heck is gonna happen here? Like, it was just the telling of it that actually made me really invested in it. But the other two were pretty boring and I was kind of like, okay. Heavy Metal Lover, unfortunately, this book was really disappointing to me. I literally bought this book at full price, which I rarely, I really don't buy very many books at full price. That's how much I was convinced that I would love this book. Unfortunately, I really didn't, and I actually quit reading before I quite got all the way to the end because I just did not care anymore. So this has a premise that sounds really cool. It's kind of a futuristic type of deal about a woman who competes in bike riding and needs to do so for money and needs a benefactor. So this rich girl helps her out with that and they fall in love. That sounds really cool, but this was so lackluster. Like, it was just not told that well. There was very little character depth. There was very little depth to the world building, and I was just really bored. This book was an absolute slog to get through, and I'm really disappointed because I thought it was going to be really, really good. Grave Flowers. This is basically if the inspiration, a lot of the inspiration of this came from Hamlet. So basically picture Hamlet, but his uncle sends a princess to marry him and kill him so that she can take the throne and give it to him, basically. So imagine that. So basically we have two twins who are identical. They were actually conjoined but separated because they were just conjoined at the hand, basically. One of them dies and ends up in kind of a like limbo purgatory type of place where she can technically come back in a weird way that people in the past have done with a portrait of each other, of themselves. But in her case, her sister, who is our main character, is the portrait because she's identical to her. So our main character has to take her place to marry the prince and kill him, but she does not want to, and unlike her sister, she has a lot more empathy and does not want to kill the prince at all. So this actually was really good. There were parts of it that were kind of boring, but it was actually a really interesting concept, and the world building was actually pretty good. In Camelot's Shadow, this is about a woman who finds out that her father promised her to a sorcerer to just, I don't know, kidnap and enslave, I guess, for no real reason, before she was born, to save her mother's life because her mother was dying when she was pregnant. So basically our main character finds this out. She does not want a sorcerer to just like take her. So she goes to King Arthur's court thinking that she can get the folks at King Arthur's court, like Merlin, to help her out. She goes there, she falls in love with Gawain. Not bad. But there wasn't really a reason for anything happening in it. There wasn't any kind of like moral to the story. It was very like meh, and there wasn't really a very good reason for the sorcerer to want her. There wasn't really a good like reason for anything in the story happening. Like, the motivations of the characters were so shallow and just meh. So the only thing I really liked about it is the fact that like at one point she has the form of just a disfigured monster basically, and Gawain still loves her anyway because he's not a shallow jerk. And I like the moral of the story is like, get you somebody who's not a shallow jerk. Like, that's great. But everything else about this story was just really just kind of okay, and I really didn't love it. Counselor by L.E. Modestit. This is the second book in the Grand Illusion series, which is basically a political type of fantasy, and it's really good. This is so, like, it's really dry. It's definitely drier than I typically prefer books to be. I don't normally, that's normally not something that grabs me, but this book does a really, this series does a really good job of giving us the information and keeping it kind of suspenseful, even though it's very, very dry. So I really, really liked this book, and I'm excited to read the rest of the series. Fierce Conversations, I read this for my works book club, and I wasn't really a fan. I feel like this might be one of my least favorite ones that that we've read so far. I felt like it did have some points about, you know, the ways in which people kind of just converse in the way that they like think they're supposed to at work, when it really pays to be your authentic self in a lot more ways. But I think a lot of it was stuff that I kind of already knew and that I've kind of already experienced, and that I didn't really get a whole lot that was new from this book. Dawn of the North, this is the third book in the Ashes series, I guess it's called. I read the first two earlier this year, The Road of Bones and whatever the second one was called that I just read like last month, I think. So this continues the story, and I still felt like the main character's romance is so meh and so completely like just, it felt very just thrown in there to be a romance in the book. And we once again get like an entire chapter that's just a sex scene, and I'm like, we didn't need that, because nothing in the narrative makes me care about the main character's romance at all. And it actually was a pretty significant part of the plot, because there is a lot of stuff going on that makes it seem like she's not going to be able to be with the guy in the long term. But like, I did not care, when normally in a romance book, you're in a romance subplot, that type of thing, you're supposed to care about, you're supposed to want the people to be able to be together, and if you think that they're not, it's like, oh no. But it really didn't do that at all. It was so like meh. But whereas her sister also has a love story, and it was so much better and told so much better because the focus is on the actual story. So I definitely think that this entire series does a really good job with the political intrigue aspect, but the romance subplots could have just not been in there, and it would have been a much stronger story. The Secret World of Briar Rose, I actually read this solely because the author Cindy is a booktuber whose videos I've enjoyed, and so when I saw that she was writing, you know, she was publishing a book, I knew I wanted to read it, and so I read it solely because of her, and I thought it was gonna be like kind of cool, but it ended up being such a good book. Oh my gosh. So this is about two sisters, one of whom, so this is about two sisters living in poverty, one of whom is still very innocent and tries to always do the right thing, and the other of whom is really just trying to take care of herself and her sister, doesn't care who she has to screw over to make sure that they survive, because it's all about survival. All these people they know have died because she thinks it's because like they were not as selfish and everything, and that selfishness is how you survive, whereas her little sister knows that that should not be the case, and that's not right. So meanwhile, we get 100 years in the past, a princess was put to sleep, obviously, because this is a Sleeping Beauty retelling, and the stuff leading up to that is just so weird, and there's so much like weird court intrigue with like women, you know, not being able to get what they want in life, and just all kinds of stuff. And then in our other corner of the story with our two sisters, we get basically this girl trying to figure out that, you know, you actually should live your life helping people and not do things the way that, you know, is focused solely on yourself surviving and all of that, even if your intentions are completely good because you're just trying to take care of your sister. And so these two sisters do stumble upon Sleeping Beauty and stumble into her like weird dream world, where they kind of learn all of this stuff, and everything in it is so thought out and so well told and so well written, and I really, really enjoyed this book. Good job, Cindy. And finally, Cat's People. I really, really enjoyed this book. This is about basically 5 different people who all are caring for the same feral cat, or not feral cat, he's just a community cat. He's not really that feral anymore, and he becomes more socialized to humans as the story goes on. But basically all of these people kind of are brought together by the cat in a lot of ways, and they all kind of live and or work in the same general area where they're coming into contact with the cat basically every day, and all the stuff that happens to them. And so some of the conflicts that they have are pretty normal, but it was told so well that I was really invested in it. And then some of the other conflicts that they have are so weird. Like, one of them is actually the sister of one of the other ones, and but the other sister doesn't know that she's her sister, and that she came there solely to find her, but then chickened out of telling her, and didn't really know how to tell her. But the cat figures out that they're sisters pretty easily. But so this was really good. I could barely put this down, and I absolutely loved it. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the first half of July. Let me know if you've read any of these and have any thoughts on them, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!